Okay, so,
Yes.
Irene, remember to contact Irene, you can call Carrie at the front desk. She's ready to learn, which is great. That's a really nice program that the school does for the kids, for the rising, or soon-to-be graduating seniors. They get out of school, because all their exams are done, so instead of watching movies, they're coming out and actually being productive, and it looks good on their college resumes for their internships and things that they're going to be applying for later. So say they're involved in an activity that was outside of school, that they actually have to apply for that, and then I have to look at their resume that they've prepared for me to see if I think they'd be a good fit. So it's a pretty selective process, and not every kid gets to do it. Not every kid wants to do it.
What do they do when they come here?
They do whatever we ask them to do. So like right now, she's organizing the licenses.
How do I get one?
She's going, well, yeah, so she's here for the next 2 weeks. And so the other thing is, so she's gonna watch Amy put a listing in MLS today. So that's something else that she's gonna learn to do. So just to sit there and observe, and so I'm gonna walk her through the home buying process and home selling process, and just the different things. So something, again, she may never be a realtor, or she may never be in mortgage or title or whatever, but it's just a good opportunity for her. But if you don't know Wendy, you now know Wendy. Wendy is the office coordinator out in Gainesville.
Formerly One Loudon.
Formerly One Loudon. She's been with us for a number of years, and she put together a really good training book on Dotloop for us that I think you guys have access for your agent resource manual. But also, she's here today to go over best practices and tips. Okay, so Wendy, take it away.
Thank you.
You need to go from about there to about here.
That works.
You're limited to your space.
I have to wear my office coordinator hat for the moment. Has everybody signed in? Anybody missed? Terrific. Now Jennifer will be happy. As Scott said, I joined RE/MAX about 2.5 years ago at the One Loudon office. With that, I have now moved into Gainesville. During that process, it was called Dotloop. What are you? And so I learned it, and I helped write it from an agent's perspective. Now that we're 2.5 years down the road, the brokers and the office coordinators are seeing some differences in the way each agent is putting in their transactions. And what we'd like to impart on you today is just some best practices to help both the office coordinators and the brokers, and to also give you some tips on other things that are happening within the loop. So to start off with, let's talk about our folder creation and naming. Very important to keep your documents that you're working with as far as gateway is concerned. So what are those? Those are your agreements, your exclusive rights to represent, your wire fraud, your property, deed work, tax record. These are, and most importantly, your case sheet. Don't forget that case sheet. These are gateway documents. This is what our brokers and OCs look at so that we can push you to the next step, and that is to then do what you need to do with your clients. So let's name our gateway documents something that is definitely connotative of gateway, or working documents. Could be anything, just as long as you separate them from what you're working on as far as your client documents. Client documents can be things like your HOA requests, your home inspections, other things that don't necessarily impact what Gateway needs to look at. And I see this question mark back there on my buddy's face.
Thank you. So I guess, why are we leaving it up to the 150 of us to decide how to name those how to name those folders. Why don't we just come up with whatever that standard is?
I'm agreeable to that, but I don't get to call those shots. Dave, take it away.
So I think it needs to be something that's searchable. The thing is like if you're working with a buyer today, use their name, because you don't know what property they're going to do. But then once it turns into a property address, turn it into the property address. So it's easily
I
searchable.
mean for the folders. Like if all the gateway documents should go into a specific folder, then why don't we call the folder gateway documents? Or why don't we call, is there,
I like that.
the
I mean,
naming convention, other than the loop itself, I
So,
get the
so,
loop
so
itself.
I think come up with it yourself, because it's like as long as it's in there. Like me, I've got my representation stuff in there, then I've got my contract stuff,
Yep.
and then I've also got like an other. So like when I go on a listing appointment, when I take notes and all that stuff, I actually dump it into the loop.
Right.
That way it's like I'm not trying to find it later. Like, hey, what did we talk about? How much do we owe, and all of that.
Right.
But and then too, it's like, and if contract number 1 falls out, you can say, contract number 1, contract number 2, and or if you got multiple deals on one of your listings, you can do contract 1, contract 2, contract 3, contract 4, and you've got everything in there. And then what the heck if that contract falls apart? You've got a record of, you don't have to go back
What
into
was
your email and all of that. So
Does that make sense, Joe?
it's not so much about what the name of the folder is about the separation of the types of documents that are in those folders. So, I have to agree.
yeah, so I think here it's like, once again, trying to make everything a little bit simple and not being real rigid where everybody's got to, hey, it's got to be this folder and this folder and this folder,
Right.
because you're going to come into different cases. What we're trying to do is get different folders for different parts of the transaction, because there's times when you guys will call and say, hey, I sent you a right to represent, and I pull it up, or Scott will pull it up, and there's like 40 documents in there.
Right.
And there's 3 different versions of it, another version, old version. It's like we don't
Which
even know
we're
which one to
gonna
look
talk
at.
about.
Yeah.
Exactly, Tom, exactly. But before we dive there, let's talk about tags. Many of you are gonna notice along to the right side of your documents are these little tags. Do you see things like WF and RPD and the expiration and a date?
And plus 1970.
Plus 1978 on the tax record, or minus, and then maybe LBP is also next to it as a tickler. What those tags do is help the office coordinators and the brokers know exactly, because naming conventions of even the document can be something totally different than what it actually is. So these are things that allow us to search quickly and visibly see, oh, that's the wire fraud, great. Oh, the expiration date is this. And especially from the OC's perspective, the expiration dates are great because we actually go back and track those. And we note those on a compliance report every week. So if your contract has come up in any way, shape, or form, your rights to represent, and it's expiring, we let the brokers know. So,
Yeah, so the tagging's important, because just like here, you could have the disclosure. If it's a listing, of course, you're gonna have it signed by just your seller, but then when it's a complete deal, it's gonna be the completed document, both seller and buyer. And then, so you're also gonna notice, like some of you guys, like all of mine are all together. So when I upload my contract, I've got my contract, my property disclosure, my lead-based paint, my wire fraud. A lot of times it's in the one document. So that's where, like Wendy or somebody right beside will put RPD plus wire plug, so that way we know it's all in there.
Where's that again?
It's to the right. So how you have your name of like residential sales contract,
It's in a smaller font.
it's in a smaller
much
font to
smaller
the right
font,
of it.
right, to the right of the
Do
contract.
I pull up the loop for it?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
See right there, broker review EXP. Like,
So at the top of the loop, you also see other tags. Some of those tags are generated automatically as your transaction moves from one stage to the next. So if it's a listing and now it's gone under contract, it's gonna pull information and put it at the top of the loop from your case sheet. So it's really important for you to keep those case sheets up to date. We, as office coordinators, also add additional tags to the top of the loop for the brokers as well. And to make it a little easier when we're running our compliance reports, we pull those out, we see something like OOO or OOC, out of compliance is really what that means. There's something just a little bit amiss with the loop or a document in the loop. So until that tag comes off, we can search on it easily, pull up a mini report, we can let the brokers know. And sometimes we as OCs will reach out to you and go, hey, can you catch this for us? So with this, we're gonna jump into a next topic, which is sharing documents versus submitting them for review. There is often a confusion that you share a document with the brokers for signature. That is not the case. What we do here in sharing is to share with our clients for signatures. They complete certain fields, they initial, and they electronically sign. That is what the sharing actually defines how this document is going to work. Once we've done this, an email with an embedded link goes out to your clients. Now, one of the biggest things that I've been asked is, how do we share a document to our clients who share one single email? Can't be done. I'm so sorry to tell you that. We put it into Dotloop. Dotloop is like, no, it's got to be two separate emails.
In that case, can the one person still electronically sign and the other person hand sign?
Yes. Or they can temporarily create an email address specifically for this transaction. And then they can ignore the email later, or the address later. So it's unfortunate, but it's Dotloop rule. It really isn't. So, keeping that in mind, any hard copy that you would have of those documents, you can then go ahead and scan them, and then they can be emailed and then uploaded to your loop. It's a real simple process. You use your browse option, you add the document. Do you all know how to use that add email, add from email? Perfect.
A couple people don't.
Actually, do you wanna sign on?
I can, I've
Do you wanna sign
signed
into one
in.
of the loops?
I have signed into the loop. Let's get me out.
Guys, it's real easy to, don't also forget that it's easy to drag. If you've got the document already there, just drag it right up into it.
So this is the option that you would use. Attach the files you need to an email and send them directly into this folder. So pull up your email. You've got files attached to it. Caveat here, they must be in PDF format. If it's just a flat email, save it as a PDF. Then you can go ahead and upload it as you would normally using Browse. But with the email option, if a PDF is embedded in the email, all you need to do is click on this option. A temporary address is displayed, you copy that, you go to your email, you go forward, paste that address in there in the forwarding to field, done. And automatically that file is going to appear
Will the
in your
attached
folder.
file show up or will the email show
The
up?
attachment,
The attachment,
whatever the PDF is.
Whatever the attachment is.
And if there's 3 PDFs, all 3 PDFs.
all 3
in it.
PDFs, doesn't matter how many documents are in that email. The body of the email is not added to the loop. If you want that, again, save that email as a PDF, then just browse and add it to the loop.
So for instance, Dan, I think you asked the question, so let's say I received HOA docs from a
from a community, and they had literally 20 different PDFs in there as far as different sections. So I went to the email function and I sent all of those HOA docs in one fell swoop to a file in Dotloop. It was just
But
so easy.
it came into one file.
I set up a file, HOA docs.
Right,
A
So I go
folder,
under there,
a folder, Tom.
I set up a folder,
right.
HOA docs, and I wanted to move the email that I had received with all these PDFs into that one folder. So one fell swoop, I hit email.
So you had 10 PDFs in the email, and you ended up with 10 PDFs in
Yep.
the loop.
Right,
Correct.
and it just went.
In one
all
folder.
I did
In one
action.
folder.
hit email, it gave me
One
the
action.
address, it gave me that folder's address, and you take it over to the email, like you're sending it to Dan Racky, you send it to Dotloop, whatever that email address.
That was worth the whole course.
It was so frickin' easy.
Unless it was over 75
Yeah,
megs.
bring my folder.
I don't know what it was, but it all went.
Cause I got an HOA doc, and it was one document, and it was massive.
Oh,
I
man,
had to
that's why
break-
they separated
I had
it.
to break it up into
Yeah,
separate.
yeah.
In order to get to my email, I have to go out to,
There you go, see?
Do you wanna log in, Dave? Or no?
Yeah, I can look at this.
okay.
One nugget right there.
We're gonna see your emails, Dave.
Go ahead. I'll let you
Here,
drive.
let me sit down.
Yes, I'll let you drive. While Dave's doing that, I want to touch on the second half of that, and that's to use the notes feature within the loop. Does everybody know where that notes section is? There's some dots in the upper right corner. Has anybody got loop pulled up?
Yes.
Here you go, here's Brian's email. This is what happens when you don't sign off your email, by the way, when you use a computer.
So I'm in a loop. Oh, there.
Nice, have fun with people.
There is
Way to go,
like a
Brian.
message balloon in the upper right corner,
Where?
upper right corner of your loops. Scroll down, scroll down, no, go up then, I'm sorry, right there.
Looks like the speech bubble.
Yeah, it looks like a message balloon, and in there are 3 dots. If you click on those dots, you will see the notes that are related to that transaction.
If you are so old,
Yes.
even though you will not see anything.
Use those notes. By using those notes, you are conveying information to either the OC or the broker,
Only then.
information that isn't on the documents or contained in the loop in another document. And I'll give you an example in a second.
Okay, let's see.
Okay, so if we can jump back to this, so in other words, so here you go, I've got here's my email with my PDF, right? So I go into the Dotloop, and I hit that I want to email it in. So I just copy this to the clipboard. Then I go back to my email, and I forward it. So forward, and then just paste in the address, and hit send. And it'll,
Then you might have to just move it to a different folder once you get it in there.
well, so it's whatever folder, so you see that I did the email test folder,
Oh, yeah.
so it's when you add the document, it's gonna go into that folder.
Gotcha.
Right. So then if we give it a second here, we'll see how fast it goes.
There
And there it
it
is,
is.
so right here, see I actually put in a new folder, but see new
It
folder?
creates the folder.
Right, and then so right here,
No.
there's my rental application.
Yeah, if you want.
Dave, can you show me how to just add a folder?
Oh, there's a little button
Right there.
right
It
there,
says add
and add folder.
Which I click on all the time.
Yep.
And that's as far as I get.
Oh.
It should see the words new
Right
folder.
there, see new
Right.
folder?
Oh, up there.
Yes, it'll put it at the top,
Okay, gotcha.
So,
I think you can rename it.
and then you rename it.
We always should name it Pamela.
Everybody name their folders Pamela.
all right.
Create no confusion.
So this is another good example, not that we want to get rid of Pamela, but see how you do archive over here?
Uh-huh.
And then it's gonna archive the Pamela folder.
Okay, so, great
So
segue,
Dan,
thank you very much.
everybody follow, Dan, you got that? On the side, and then you also know you can drag that up, right? You can drag files into the loop.
Show that.
So in other words, if you've got,
You can do it right there, Dave.
Just right
Just do
here,
it from right there.
just right here. Grab the case sheet and drag it up.
oh,
to
no, I'm
another
talking about
folder.
from an email. Or from
Okay.
somewhere else. Oh, why do we have all this up? Can't see the forms, I'm sorry. So if you want to add document, so in other words, if I had a form, I could just drag it. So in other words, just like if your PDF, I just can't see the top of the form. So like how that PDF was in Gmail, if you had two windows open side by side, just take the PDF and drag it,
Drag it.
and it'll pop right up.
Accomplishes
okay.
the same
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah, yeah, it's real
It's-
simple.
On your desktop.
Sweet.
That would be the most valuable.
So
thing for
we've
all year long.
shared our documents with our clients for e-signatures.
Can you do it again, please, of the email? You have to forward and then copy the link, no?
Paste it.
So here,
Paste.
so email, send email,
Yes.
then just click this copy to clipboard.
Copy.
Basically it's copy. Yep, and then when you go in, I guess I closed my email, didn't I? Did I not? There we go. So here I'm gonna forward, and then you just, so the two, this is where you just hit the paste.
Ah,
And it puts that long see the long address that it created for that?
Yeah.
And then you just send, and then we go right to there.
send. I will send it.
Yeah.
Now, if you hit send again, Dave, and now go back to,
Give me a second. There we go.
you got two copies of the same
Yes.
file.
Uh-huh.
Do we need both copies?
Yep.
No. But can you delete?
No.
Absolutely nothing can be deleted. Nothing. So what do? We archive.
Uh-huh.
So going out there on the document level, 3 dots. All the way down here, archive. Click. Now, yesterday I archived this document, but today I want to see it again. It's not clearly visible to me, but I want to see it. There's a feature up here called Show Archived. That will reveal your documents that you have archived. It would also reveal your folder if you archived it.
So means if you send them many offers for a listing and you did get reject, you just archive that.
They're not gone.
Uh-huh.
They are absolutely not gone. This software will not allow anything to be deleted. Not even the DBAs can delete these records. They can archive them, they can move them off of a server to another server, but they cannot delete them. They have to be around. Can we archive a whole loop? Absolutely, you can archive an entire loop. If you go and get out of this loop and go back to a showing of all your loops, there's an archive button right there, and that archives the entire loop. But the trick here is I can't just use a show archived button to bring it back visibly. What I need to do is use the filters. So Dave, if you'll drive up to the filters.
You would archive this?
Yes, please. Change your filters to all or only archived. That will pull up only those loops that you have archived. Now go to your search bar and type in Abel Way. If you do a refresh, it'll be gone from the picture.
No, I just pulled it back, I was one step ahead of it.
Okay.
So I put the loops in, so.
It has a step, oh, you unarchived.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah, it's archived.
Right.
Yeah, so
So-
our filters show all archive files, so these are all.
Correct, so
archive
those
files.
are all the archive files. So it'll show them in whatever view you've set up, either by picture or by a list view. Do you guys know how to do that? Change your view
What's yours, Pam?
over here,
Oh, my.
Two
far
story
right. You can do a grid view, a list view. List view doesn't show you any pictures. If you uploaded pictures, you won't see them.
Two-story drive.
If you go to grid view, if you uploaded a picture, it will display.
Pam's been busy.
Right there,
Oh.
two-story drive.
Pamela.
Pam has been busy. That's the
Bay
really
Street,
good
that's
part
right.
about it.
That's me.
So what we've done here is, real quickly, we have sent out our documents for our clients' signatures. We've gotten those documents back. We've found that there's some duplicates or documents that we just don't need, so we've archived them. At the stage we are currently, we need the office coordinator to look at these documents, add signature blocks, add initial blocks, make sure that the initials have been placed in all the different paragraphs, and then we forward it over to the brokers. That particular action is a submit for review. So the difference is sharing, submit for review. Sharing, we do all the signatures on the client side. Submit for review, it's an internal action now, and the brokers already have the ability to go ahead and sign when they open their documents.
So just to talk about this for just a second, just to make sure, so like if it's like if it's during the week, go ahead and hit the submit for review, even on the weekends, hit submit for review, choose the folder you want us to review, submit for review. That usually goes to the office coordinators. What they do is the office coordinators will prep everything for Scott and Lynn and Penny, and all of us, to be able to where we need to sign and all of those good things. But even if it's like the weekend, go ahead and submit it for review and then just call me. Scott and I get calls all the time saying, hey, Saturday, I just got a listing signed, we need to put it in today, can you sign it? Scott and I, we can go in and search your loops and we can find that loop and sign it. So what we don't want you to do is we don't want you to automatically put David Werfel's name in each one of the signature blocks and send it to us, because it shows up as a Dotloop email coming to us, and without exaggerating, we get over like 100 a day for the Dotloop, because every time you guys send a note to the OCs or I send a note to you or whatever, it's coming up. So what I don't want it to do is I don't want it to get lost and you guys sitting there like, hey, Dave's not signing my loop or Scott's not signing my loop. So just if you got something that needs to be signed on the weekend or night or something, just call one of us and say, hey, or text us or whatever and say, hey, can you go in and sign 123 Main Street?
Do I infer from that that I'm not supposed to put a listing into the computer without a broker's signature on it?
Correct.
I have a
Number
question.
4.
You're rolling that in.
Learning all kinds of things today.
Absolutely. Now, there's another half piece to that as well. As the brokers are reviewing these documents, they may return the document to you. It is important as an agent to make sure you are reviewing any notes. Those notes are that message with the 3 dots in it, upper right-hand corner. Open that up. Sometimes that note will come through in a notification, but in my experience, agents have turned those notifications off, so you don't always see the emails.
Yeah, so it's up there. So, and guys, don't take it personally when we send something back. All we're trying to do is just make sure that we're compliant for, if MLS comes and does it, or if there's a challenge where somebody says, hey, this isn't a valid contract or a valid document. So it's just looking a lot, because you'll notice that sometimes we will return it saying, hey, we missed 4 initials and we probably need these initials. Or there's other times where, hey, we've approved this and done this, but we suggest in the future maybe writing it this way or something. So keep in mind that a lot of times we're not looking at all of the writing and all of the blocks. There's certain things we will check, but overall, go ahead, Dan.
So if you spot one, that's, page 12 is missing an initial.
Right.
Dan?
What is the preferred method of correcting that?
So we'll return it to you,
Yep,
return to agent,
right, I got it.
and then you send that initial, if it's your customer, you send it over to them and have an initial and send it back.
But if I send the whole contract to them, it wipes out everything.
No, you can send it in a PDF, like you can make a copy.
Go ahead.
You're
Go
right.
ahead, Mandy, go ahead, because I've heard different ways of doing it.
There's probably 3 or 4 different ways of doing it.
Exactly. Dan, your way was not incorrect, by the way.
No, sorry.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but yeah, you can just make a copy of it and then just do the one initial block and send it to them saying, hey, please, we missed an initial.
I just copied page 12.
Yeah, you can do whichever, but yeah, one thing nice about doing the whole contract, if you just copy it as a PDF and then put the one initial in, then it's all together.
But if I get it back where it's been signed and I share it back to him as the original, doesn't it wipe out all the initials? So I don't wanna do that.
No. But if you were to accidentally do that, does everybody know if you've lost it or you haven't lost it?
No, you haven't lost it.
You haven't lost it. We get panic calls all the time, so if you've ever done this where you've wiped out all of your initials or signatures or done something, you wanna go back in?
Where do you get it back?
Activity log.
Activity log.
All the way in the top
Um,
right corner, there's a little thing called activity log.
Let's bring up the list.
Yeah.
To the top.
Oh,
Right
sorry,
next to
I
Luke.
moved your list, sorry.
When is
Oh,
me,
that's okay. Did you archive it? Is that what?
so when is
Well, you go
missing
back.
just only
There
one
it is, right
initial?
there,
Right
next to
above.
Luke's. Right next to
Right,
Luke's.
no, left.
Upper-
Notification.
Oh, well, there's the activity
Yes.
log, yeah.
This is
that's-
for everything. We were trying to go
This is
through
for
the-
everything. But, yeah, see, this goes through the whole log of everybody. Am I displaying, yeah, okay, you turned all the filters off. Okay, so, 1, 2, 5, 7. Oh, we had it archived, didn't we?
There we go. Let's go down to 3.
So if I wiped out signatures, we can go down here. See these guys? They're all recoverable.
Yeah. The activity is awesome to go back and look at. This is where you can recover a document, but what is even more cool about this is that if you send something over to your customer to be signed, and they look at it but don't sign it, you can see on here that, Joe Customer has viewed, Joe Customer has signed. So it's always kind of interesting when you send something over to somebody and they viewed it, and then they're like, no, we never got it. And it's like, well, they got it, because they've already looked at it.
What was the easiest way to when your client missing one initial only in one page, so you can print that page and scan it by itself or
No,
not?
you don't have to go to the printer and all that. You wanna go into the document again.
Because you don't want that the initials previously, they will disappear.
So,
Actually, just go back into the loop again and go into one of the, here, so show them how to make a copy of one of the forms, even maybe the application.
the application?
Well, that
The
loop was
form.
scanned in. The
Oh,
520,
this
yeah,
document?
Yeah, that loop,
Okay. We can make a copy of it.
right there.
Copy as a Dotloop document, copy as a flat PDF, signatures preserved, not editable.
So that's the one you would choose. It would make a copy of it, and then you can go add the one initial onto wherever you need to put it on, or you can also do a text box somewhere and have them initial that.
Oh, okay. Much
So that way
easier.
the customer only has to initial what needs to be changed or what got missed the first
Not
time.
everything again.
Right.
In many ways, you're gonna end up being prompted for what loop you wanna put this into.
Always Pamela.
Always Pamela.
Set the measure
And then it tells you it's imported the document, and we actually have, oh, she's archived. Show archive. There she is. So there's a lot of different ways. I've seen agents, as described, where they have just printed the page that the initials are missing on, and made that the PDF and sent that over for initial or signature. And then it's back in the loop. Now we're looking at two pieces. We're looking at the original document, which is missing those initials, and then the initials. Best practice, try to keep it all one. It's a little bit more difficult for both the office coordinators and for the brokers because now they're looking at multiple pieces.
And then, but if you do see that, there's gonna be additional tags, like this is page 2. You know,
Yes.
those types of things, just so we know not to delete it. When we're running down through the contract, we know that there's another page there, so we have a complete contract.
With these tags, you don't want us doing anything with tags,
No,
that's
just
for
leave
you
it.
guys, right?
Exactly. Now, I have discovered on a couple of occasions where agents have actually deleted some of those tags. Scott, was that something they were allowed to do?
Well, they're not supposed to. I don't know if they're not
I
allowed.
thought, yeah,
I didn't think we had access to it one time, but I think this last change now, everybody's got where they can change tags and things. But we'll look. Yeah, cause also on the tags, sometimes you'll see where we'll say, hey, missing initial page 2, and then that way you can see it right next to your document where you don't have to go up into notes.
Can you explain a little bit more about tags and how that's being used? I mean, is that just saying that you sent something back to me, or
no.
what is tag, what's the definition of tag?
Tags are used for recognition of what that document is. And if there are multiple documents contained in that one, so there's an embedded,
Okay,
it's easily identifying that this one single document contains a wire fraud. It contains.
that's what you're putting alongside.
Exactly. We're also adding expiration dates when you've just, when you've got a listing agreement. We're putting the term, the expiration date, EXP, the date it expires.
So when I see something that comes back like Carrie tagged something for somebody, or somebody else, it's not from you, or it's not from Penny. It says tagged by something. Does that mean they put something along the
Yes.
board?
Yes,
Isn't there a way for us to turn off those
Yes.
notifications so that we
yes.
don't get 17? How do we do
Yes.
that?
Now there's this little
Where it says
option.
notifications?
Yes, ma'am. And I'm looking at an angle. Back to my loops. Okay.
I don't know if you'd wanna turn that
Notifications.
off unless, Dave, if you guys send us messages, is that not gonna
It's
appear
an all
there?
or nothing.
Oh, you
Yeah, so I don't know if
It
you,
is
you
all or
wouldn't,
nothing.
As far as I can tell, it's all or
Yeah,
nothing.
there's, let me
if
look
I just
at
go up, take a look at it, and see what's in there, and then go, oh, okay, this is what they're
If
doing.
it's not a reprimand, then we just delete
If it is,
Yeah, and if it is, then you.
From what I've been able to
Cursing, if we
tell
didn't hear you, the
in the
camera would blow up, yeah.
notifications, it's,
what?
although I'm wondering, I don't think you can do it under the profile. But,
Yeah, it's under the profile in the account.
no,
No,
just
so
go
go,
away from this, you go into the profile, which, let's just use my default.
Settings, next to the big notification.
Settings. Thank you, because I'm looking at a different angle.
yeah, but then it's like messengers.
Yes,
over here.
my fault. I did not notice that before. Then you have your document preferences, where
That's just the size.
sizing.
Here, the messenger notifications, next one.
Oh,
Email, SMS.
yeah, but that's.
I understand what you're saying, it's like,
See,
Yeah, that's in each one of the sides. Where are you at there?
In settings,
Did you go in your personal settings?
yes.
Yeah, in each
So
one of the
there
accounts,
should be-
not Bonnie, oh my God, Wendy,
Mm-hmm.
right here, it does show, could you show when signature, look at all the notifications.
Oh, those
settings.
are in a different section under your profile.
Right.
Go under the profile already, settings.
Scroll down.
Yep.
Scroll.
You can link your accounts, you can set up this, and that's as far as I go
Yeah,
on
So
that's-
it
this.
seems like I should be able to take out shared or something like that, cause I don't need
Okay,
that.
share.
I have a
Like
question.
I wanna know when it's signed,
Why do I have two
I wanna know
accounts?
this.
Why do
Yeah.
you have two accounts?
Yes.
Did you use the different
That-
size?
Let me
No.
take
Oh.
that.
No, one, if
They're
I
not
bought a purchase-
necessarily two accounts, are they?
No, they're in they have two separate profiles, and it's like when people send me stuff, it goes to one
Yes.
profile.
Yes.
And
We
then I
talk
have
about that.
my profile.
I hate that.
That's
Well,
actually another
I'll
half an
do-
hour
I can do
discussion.
that.
I'm happy to try for you.
Okay, guys, I think there's a way, Pamela's got it here on hers where it's like you can opt out of when docs are tagged and things like that.
Yeah, I
Let
can't.
me go through and I'll find the process so we can,
I have a different view than the agents do on some things, such as your profiles, so I don't see that information.
I'll get that too.
Okay.
If- If there is any way, for example, when you have 4 owners, no, when you take in a listing and you have 4 owners that they have to put initials, which is the fastest way to, before sharing with them the document, to put the 4 initials and do not put it in each page, so you just copy and paste?
You can
And on the
copy and
page.
paste when you open up the document.
How
Go
do you
ahead.
do this faster?
That's
Because I spend a lot of time doing when there are 3
When
or
you
4
open
owners
up a
and-
document to add those initials,
Yes, before sending, before
Right.
sharing to them.
you know, put your crosshairs or whatever you need to,
Yes.
or the initial blocks, there is actually in the lower right-hand corner of the document, commands, key commands. So you will use your Control-Shift.
Yes, I will try to
Control.
push in them like a shift delete and they will delete it.
Correct.
But the other ones, when I try to copy in each page, I don't know how to do it. I don't know if you have the chance to do
Okay,
it.
here you go. All right, so here's a document. So, granted, this is already an app that's already done, but let's say you wanna,
Add
And
initials.
yeah, we probably don't have people, do we?
3 or 4 in each page is something.
You might. I wouldn't worry about it, but at least show,
Well, just don't say that.
if you're gonna log in as yourself, you could have just logged me out. There is a copy paste function. So you're actually taking and adding the first initial, assigning it to whoever you need to assign it to, and then you're actually using those keys.
This is the part that doesn't work for me, didn't work that way.
You're
And
supposed to
you
do
have
what?
to
You're
click your mouse at the same time, that's the
Ah.
key.
supposed to hit
It's-
control,
Control-Shift-V for Victor, for paste. And then click your mouse in that area and scroll down and you'll see the box move with you as you're dragging it down through the page.
Yes.
I don't know if I can get that ambidextrous.
Oh, I'm sure you
Trust me, I have been there on many
I've
occasions.
been practicing, it didn't work, but I'm
All
sure
right.
there is a way.
So right here, if I wanna add an initial,
Yes.
you go add initial, then you put it where you want it.
It won't let you do it inside a
Cause you have
text
assigned
box.
to that one.
Do it there, then you
So
assign
then,
it.
so we can assign it to the field, so here I'll assign it to Laura Doyle,
Yeah.
and then you could add yet another initial. Right there, and if I say assign that to Robert Doyle, and then, so I've got the 2 initials there, right?
And
So
then
if I click here,
And then the
okay,
next
oh, hang on,
box.
where's it?
that's it.
There's
down
a
at the
cheat,
bottom.
there's a cheat sheet.
Oh,
No, cheat sheet's not there.
can you make the size of the screen smaller?
Yeah, so I'll just show them now. But just hit the shift here and
And the
click,
shift.
and click both of them. So I've got both of them chosen. Has everybody got that so far?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, hang on, then I've got, it's what is it on the PC?
Shift,
Control,
Control,
Shift, C.
C for copy first, right.
All right, and then so here, if I want to put more over here, I go Shift Control V.
And they have to
Copy
click it,
first.
they have to click.
No, hang on.
Control, Shift, C.
Or just right click.
For
All at the
copy.
same time, yeah.
Now Control Shift, V.
No,
Right
Control
click.
Shift.
V, click.
See
it?
Right there they are, so you can move it
So
wherever you
then you
want.
can move it wherever you need to.
I'm not sure.
Okay, in the other pages, page by page,
Yep.
you just move.
And then you just keep dragging, scrolling down, and putting them in.
Much faster, yeah, should be.
It is much faster. Instead of scrolling through each page,
Exacto,
just
bueno.
putting both initial blocks of all 4 initial blocks, especially on a lease.
Yeah, because you can resize them and everything, but yeah, it's real easy if you've got the whole contract, you've got to go down through and you've got to learn click, 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 click real fast. Just make sure you assign them and all that first. That way it makes it a lot easier for later.
Practice, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause, yeah, I remember the first Dotloop training I went into, and I went through and I did, the 22 initials or whatever it was on each page, I went one at a time.
Yes.
That's what I
And,
still do.
yeah, and then,
Yes.
but then after I figured this out, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is minutes.
Minutes is true.
Okay.
So if we exit out of this document.
Where do we go?
So I'm gonna piggyback on, we've got multiple loops, one of which has probably come in from a brokerage firm that also uses Dotloop, right? And it creates another loop the same as yours. What you are doing at this point is sharing those documents with that agent. And now we're getting to the point where everything is already signed, we've got I's dotted and T's crossed. But you don't need this other loop anymore. You want to get rid of it. There's a function called merge. And you can merge the 2 loops. I will write this up. It's about 5 steps to merge the loops.
Does that other agent still have access to your loop?
No, they do not. Once those loops have been merged, you have total control. You alone can share any portion of that loop with the other agent. The other loop no longer exists. It's been merged with yours.
Does it matter whether the agent is in another company or in our company?
No, it doesn't.
When they're merged, does the merged loop go into a specific folder or
It
something?
can go into a specific folder if you create that folder.
So we have all of our docs, so we don't, so it
Correct.
doesn't contaminate the rest of our.
Exactly, which also allows you, if you need to reshare a document or the entire folder with that external agent. So merge function. I will do a little video on it and blast it out to you guys. I hear Bomb Bomb is the bomb.
Yes, it is.
So my broker Penny has kindly allowed me to use her account to experiment with, and then we'll go from there. I don't like cameras, but we'll go from there. But I'll send out a little quick video on how to merge those loops. It has come up more than once. It's called got duplicates on duplicates on duplicates. So how do I get rid of it? We merge them.
I know we're out of time, but in your follow-up, why, it's like assigning tasks, is that more for like a team, or is that something that you would normally use?
Tasks are something that is individual to the loop. You can create tasks, and then Carrie can go to Dotloop and say, make these global. So everybody can use them, which kind of confuses things. I have not found a way to be able to share tasks with other people within the same team or the same company. The tasks are individual to you who created
It's
them.
just stuff you need to do with it.
Exactly,
Okay, got it.
exactly. Unfortunate. There is something else that comes up quite a bit, and that's agents being frustrated, where do I find a document? Yes, under templates, if we go up under templates, just all the way up in the right-hand corner, all the way up, there we go. You've got all of these folders created here on the left-hand side. Those are accessible to all of us, every single one of us. But embedded in each one of these folders are up to 25 documents. And we're going through trying to find which document we're looking for. I'm going to try and save you some time. Scroll all the way to the bottom for me, please, Dave. Thank you. Too hot, too far. My fault. Okay. Oh, where'd you go? Oh, you're logged in, aren't you?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. That's why.
Yeah, I got way too many, but yeah.
It was like,
that's for sure.
okay, what happened? If we log back in, it's me. Although you should have this. Scroll down. Why don't you have the templates, the loop templates option?
No, I think we got it. Okay.
Okay, because I can see it.
I don't have it.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is that you're able to search.
Yes.
Well,
You can
that's
search by
true
template.
too. But you have to know the name of the document. For most of you, do you have, Kevin, do
Yes.
you see under templates, all the way down on that left-hand side, loop templates?
No.
Why
No,
isn't that
me
visible
neither.
to you
Maybe
guys?
your version is different.
Yeah, I don't think we've got
Yeah.
those templates.
No, we
But
don't
yeah,
have.
But I see it
okay. Oh, we can look.
under my name.
No, it's.
No, we.
So, that's a little confusing. All right, something to research, because I thought all the agents could see it. But it seems that only the agents can see, or only the OCs can see it. What that does is allow you to create kind of a dummy loop. So it sets up a holding space of all the documents that you are required to have in a transaction for a listing. All the required documents that you're supposed to have for a buyer, lease, anything. And then when you go to add a loop, it actually prompts you and asks you if you want to create it from a template. And if you've got the template already created, then you just click that template name from a drop-down, and all the documents needed for that loop are automatically copied into your new loop.
Along with anything you've saved.
Saved.
Your agent information at the end.
Exactly. Anything.
Yeah.
Your
Okay,
tasks.
the templates are awesome, because that way you don't have to type Remix Gateway and your address and your
Right.
license numbers and the company's license number and all that. Just,
All of
put
that,
it
your
all in there automatically.
people, anything that is standardized that you've already, you're not rekeying it in.
So the only thing to keep in mind there, though, not to cut Wendy off, is
No,
that
that's
if the forms change like they did on January 1st, you've got to go in and update those forms. Your own template forms
Yeah.
won't update.
So is there a place, and I don't think there is there a place where we can put all of our information, license information, brokerage information, into one area that it automatically pulls and populates into the contract, so on and so forth, so we don't have to set up our own personal template?
People,
That's under people,
Oh,
or
yeah.
under your
Yeah,
account
yeah.
setting.
good people, yeah, they're people, man.
Mine doesn't say no matter what I do.
Oh, these are
Or
all
if you
my
just
customers.
click your picture and go to the account,
Actually, I think-
Your picture?
Your picture, click on your
Upper
picture,
right.
your profile, go to your
yeah, you go to
profiles.
your, my account,
Up higher?
up
My
2
account.
lines, right there,
There's your member ID, yeah.
and then all that
So
ID.
just
will-
fill
All
and then
this.
you hit profiles on the left.
All that fills in, it moves with you to every transaction.
Yeah, but it doesn't have the brokerage, it doesn't have Scott's or Dave's information.
Go to profiles on the left.
Yeah, okay,
Go
but
to-
so you
gotta go
can't
through all the
put
tabs.
some of that in, but that's why you need to go to the templates, because it's gonna be
That's right.
different each time. So,
And then, of course, when they do a form update, then we'd have to.
Yeah,
You
just
have
gotta-
to copy those forms back over.
so the ones that are
Correct.
twice a year, you'd have to go. with that.
Absolutely.
Because when I was in Vegas and talked to the Dotloop people out there, I think they were trying to set up a area where you can populate everything, so you don't have to set up your own specific personal template, that it automatically pull all that information, and we wanna populate the very end of the.
So they're already doing that now. If you go into the, into your tab, so in other words, when you assign your seller and your buyer and you assign yourself as the listing agent,
Right.
if you click there, you look, there's now a whole bunch more form fields that aren't able to be filled out yet, that is your license number and the office
Office
number and all of
number.
that. So they're in the process of working on that, because I talked to them too.
Okay.
So watch this space. There will be notes coming out from Dotloop on the latest and greatest that they've added. I will have to admit that from the notes that I get, sometimes I go, I don't have a clue what you're talking about. So I have to go and explore it myself. What I'm gonna try and do is if it's something super, super significant, we can do a bum blast.
Okay, but not to cut you off one more time, is everybody familiar with the whole autofill for the entire contract in the loop?
Autofill, folks.
So everybody-
I know you
So
are.
guys, if you go to
And I
view
know
details,
Kevin is.
if you go to view details, here's where you can fill in everything. Add a person, add the other
Almost
agent,
everything.
add addresses, all that, and it's an autofill, and it's gonna pop into every one of your.
It's really nice for when you're just, because especially adding the people, so they're already there. You don't have to drag a box to the signature every time. They'll be there for already.
Well, I do encourage you to sit down with with Bonnie and Wendy and Carrie and Rania, because, they're the ones who are the experts in Dotloop. So, sit down with them, they'll help you set up templates and help you along, and of course, Scott and I and Penny and Lynn are always here for questions.
Thank you,
All right.
guys.
Thank
Thank
If
you.
you've got any
to
questions,
you.
please don't hesitate to shoot them off to your OC.
All right, go sell something.
Thank you, guys.
Definitely.